felt like I was the most only child that he had, and he loved me that much.
Most actors eventually leave a role behind. They finish filming, move on to the next project, and the character slowly becomes part of the past. But Jim Caviezel has often said that this wasn't what happened to him. According to Caviezel, the character never really left. He was the actor chosen to portray Jesus in Mel Gibson's The Passion of the Christ. And what happened to him during the making of that film remains one of the most unusual stories ever associated with a Hollywood production. By the time this story is over, you'll understand why so many people continue to talk about it more than 2 decades later. The story began before filming ever started, when Mel Gibson first approached Jim Caviezel about playing Jesus in the film that would later become one of the most controversial productions in Hollywood history. His opening words were not exactly an invitation. Instead, they sounded more like a warning. Looking directly at Caviezel, Gibson reportedly said, "If you do this movie, you may never work in this town again. I don't want to be responsible for that." For many actors, that conversation would have ended right there. At the time, the project was considered risky, controversial, and unlike anything Hollywood typically embraced. But Caviezel's response surprised Gibson. He told him that every person is called to carry a cross in life, and if you refuse to carry it willingly, eventually its weight will crush you. According to those familiar with the conversation, Gibson simply fell silent. What makes that moment even more remarkable is where Caviezel's career stood at the time. He wasn't an unknown actor desperately searching for a breakthrough role. His performances in The Thin Red Line, Frequency, and The Count of Monte Cristo had already established him as a rising star. Studios were paying attention. His career was gaining momentum. He had opportunities ahead of him and a reputation that was still growing. In other words, he had something to lose. Yet, he chose the role anyway. There was another detail that Gibson didn't bring up, but one that Caviezel would later discuss publicly. When he accepted the role, he was 33 years old. His initials were J.C., the same age traditionally associated with Jesus at the time of the crucifixion, the same initials. Caviezel later said that the coincidence felt less like chance and more like a calling. Whether someone sees meaning in that or not, it's clear that the connection had a profound effect on him. Then Gibson explained another challenge. The film would not be shot in English. Instead, it would be filmed in Aramaic, Hebrew, and Latin, making it one of the most linguistically ambitious productions ever attempted. For most actors, that alone would have been intimidating. Caviezel agreed to everything. He stepped into a role that demanded nearly everything from him, fully aware that Hollywood might never forgive him for taking it. But what happened once production began would push the story far beyond acting. Filming took place in Italy, and almost immediately, a series of strange and unexpected events began to unfold. The first major incident occurred while shooting the Sermon on the Mount sequence. Caviezel was standing on an exposed hillside surrounded by roughly 350 people when lightning struck him. Years later, he said he sensed something moments before it happened, almost as if he could feel it coming. Crew members later described seeing flashes around his body, while others recalled what appeared to be fire shooting from both sides of his head as a bright glow surrounded him. Mel Gibson was watching from the monitor when it happened. According to reports, his first reaction was confusion. Looking at the screen, he simply asked, "What happened to Caviezel's hair?" Remarkably, that wasn't the only lightning strike associated with the production. Assistant director John Michelini was struck by lightning twice during the filming process. Considering that the odds of being struck by lightning twice are estimated at roughly 1 in 9 million, many people later found the coincidence difficult to ignore. Then came the scourging scenes. To create the illusion of Roman soldiers whipping Jesus, Gibson instructed the actors to strike toward a target positioned behind Caviezel rather than directly at him. The camera angles would create the effect. But during one take, an actor missed. The whip struck Caviezel across the back and tore open a wound nearly 16 inches long. The pain was so intense that he later said it completely knocked the breath out of him. And that was only one of several injuries. During another scene, a cross weighing roughly 150 pounds fell and struck him in the head. The impact caused him to bite through his tongue and the inside of his cheek. The moment was so real that footage from the incident ended up in the final version of the film. The blood viewers see coming from his mouth on screen was not makeup. It was real. Yet even those incidents would be overshadowed by what happened during the crucifixion scenes. Those scenes were filmed outdoors on a cliff, roughly 1,000 feet above the ground during the Italian winter. Caviezel hung on the cross, wearing very little clothing, while enduring freezing temperatures that dropped to around 20 degrees Fahrenheit, accompanied by powerful winds. The conditions became so severe that he developed pneumonia, a lung infection, and extreme hypothermia. His body shook uncontrollably. His lips trembled. At times, he could barely deliver his lines. Meanwhile, the strain of holding his arms extended caused his left shoulder to repeatedly dislocate. At one point, a doctor on set listened to his heart and warned both Caviezel and Gibson that continuing under those conditions could potentially kill him. Caviezel chose to continue. Ironically, it was during those same crucifixion scenes that he later described experiencing some of the most powerful moments of his life. He spoke about what Catholic tradition refers to as an interior revelation, not a voice heard through the ears, but a form of communication perceived internally. Caviezel said that he felt Jesus speaking to him and asking a simple question: "Am I getting too close?" At that exact moment, a doctor was pressing a stethoscope against his chest. Years later, Caviezel described the experience as both frightening and deeply intimate, something that left him speechless despite the physical agony he was enduring. Then, according to Caviezel, something even more extraordinary happened. He said his heart stopped. He later described the sensation of leaving his body and looking down from above as medical personnel worked to revive him. He claimed he could see himself hanging on the cross. He could see the scene unfolding beneath him. What stayed with him most was not fear. It was peace. A level of peace, he said, greater than anything he had ever experienced before. And then, just as suddenly, he was brought back. The feeling disappeared. The pain returned, and the filming continued. In the years that followed, he underwent 2 heart surgeries, including open heart surgery, procedures that he has linked to the extreme conditions and injuries he suffered during production. The heart complications were not fully resolved until 2014, a full decade after the film's release. Experiences like that don't simply fade away, they become part of a person's story. And for Caviezel, everything that came afterward seemed, in one way or another, connected to what happened on that set. When The Passion of the Christ premiered in 2004, it became a global phenomenon. The film earned more than $600 million worldwide, making it the highest-grossing independent film of its time and the most successful religious film ever released. Under normal Hollywood logic, that kind of success should have transformed its lead actor into one of the industry's biggest stars. But that isn't what happened. Instead of opening doors, many of them seemed to close. There was no official announcement, no public blacklist, and no studio executive standing in front of cameras explaining what was happening. Yet Caviezel has repeatedly said that after the film, opportunities became noticeably different. The momentum that had once been building around his career seemed to slow, and in some circles, disappear altogether. Years earlier, Mel Gibson had warned him that this might happen. Later, Caviezel openly acknowledged that the warning turned out to be accurate. What is perhaps most remarkable is that he never appeared bitter about it. Rather than distancing himself from his faith, he moved even closer to it. He continued accepting roles that reflected his personal convictions and spent years building a career largely outside the approval of mainstream Hollywood. Then came 2023. That year, Caviezel starred in Sound of Freedom, a faith-adjacent thriller centered on child trafficking, a project that many major studios reportedly showed little interest in supporting. The film opened during the same period as Disney's Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, and to the surprise of many industry observers, it became one of the biggest success stories of the year. Produced on a relatively modest budget, Sound of Freedom eventually earned more than $250 million worldwide. Critics and industry insiders debated the film endlessly, but audiences continued showing up. For Caviezel's supporters, The film's success seemed to reinforce a pattern they believed had defined his career ever since The Passion. For others, it was simply another example of a movie finding an audience despite industry skepticism. Throughout those years, Caviezel continued speaking publicly about the spiritual insights he believed emerged from his experiences during and after the Passion of the Christ. He discussed what he viewed as growing hostility toward faith, cultural decline, and the importance of remaining committed to deeply held beliefs. Critics often dismissed these views as familiar religious concerns. Supporters pointed to something else: consistency. Whether people agreed with him or not, Caviezel's life after the Passion largely reflected the same convictions he had expressed for years. Either way, it is difficult to separate the man he became from what he experienced during that production. Which is why, when news of a sequel began circulating, many fans naturally assumed he would return. After all, who else could? For years, Caviezel seemed deeply committed to the project. In April 2025, he appeared on the Arroyo Grande podcast and spoke openly about preparing for the resurrection of the Christ. He described fasting, praying the rosary every day, and planning to receive communion daily throughout production. According to Caviezel, he even felt that Jesus had told him, "I have no one better for this role." By all appearances, he was fully invested. Then came a surprise almost nobody expected. In October 2025, reports emerged that the cast had been completely reworked. Finnish actor Hakko Tonen would portray Jesus. Monica Bellucci, who had played Mary Magdalene in the original film, was replaced by Mariella Garriga. The production was effectively starting over with an entirely new cast, while filming began at Rome's Cinecittà Studios, the same legendary location where Gibson had shot much of the original movie. The explanation offered was practical rather than dramatic. Caviezel was now 57 years old, while the sequel takes place only days after the crucifixion. Creating a convincing 33-year-old version of him through extensive digital de-aging would have been enormously expensive and technically demanding. Gibson ultimately chose to recast the role. The reaction online was immediate. Social media quickly filled with comments from fans who struggled to imagine anyone else portraying Jesus in a continuation of the story. Some called the decision unthinkable. Others acknowledged the practical reality, but admitted that their interest in the film had diminished without Caviezel's involvement. As of now, the sequel is planned as a two-part release, with the first installment scheduled for Good Friday, March 26, 2027, and the second for Ascension Day, May 6, 2027. And so there is an undeniable irony at the center of the story. The man who endured the lightning strike, the man who suffered the injuries, the man who developed pneumonia, underwent heart surgery, and carried the physical consequences of the film for years. The man whose experience became inseparable from the legacy of the Passion of the Christ will be watching the next chapter from the outside. In the end, perhaps the most interesting question isn't about Hollywood politics, studio decisions, or production budgets. It's whether a sequel can carry the same emotional weight when the actor who sacrificed so much for the original is no longer part of it. Maybe the answer won't be known until audiences finally see the film for themselves. Until then, the story of Jim Caviezel remains one of the most extraordinary chapters ever connected to a movie production. A story that sits somewhere between faith, endurance, coincidence, and the limits of what a person is willing to endure for a role they believe they were meant to play. What do you think? Did Caviezel simply experience an extraordinary series of physical hardships? Or do you believe something deeper was happening during the making of that film? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more fascinating stories like this one. We'll see you in the next video.